The Insta360 X5 is designed to be picked up and used right away. It's the next step in evolution in the Insta360 360 camera series and had some amazing new functions like better lenses, bigger sensors, multiple processing chips, and some really interesting AI functionality. You can take high quality video shots with the default settings, which is perfect for most situations. I think it's the premium 360 camera available right now. And now with PureVideo mode for low light shooting situations, it means you have to do far less in order to get great shots because the camera is doing most of the work for you. But if you really want to unlock the full potential of this camera, you've got to dive deeper into the settings and understand it. Let me show you what's key and what settings really matter. This video is for you if you're all about getting the most from your X5. First things first, let's talk about the shooting modes and which one works best in different situations. Once you tap on the camera icon, the menu will appear. Just swipe left to select the recording mode you want. Now the choice depends on whether you're in single lens mode or 360 mode. You probably know that your 360 camera has two sensors. The camera's processors combine the images from both sensors to create a 360 image. When you select single lens mode, the camera shoots with just one sensor and lens. But why would you want to do that though? After all, the best thing about this camera is its 360 mode and the ability to reframe shots, especially when the X5 can deliver 8K video reframed to high image quality 2.7K flat footage. Now with the X4, there were two reasons to shoot in single lens mode. First off, you don't need to reframe your shot, so you can save time later. And secondly, especially if the lighting conditions are difficult, you may be able to get a better image quality with the single lens mode. But there are two reasons why you don't need this single lens mode anymore with the X5. Instaframe and PureVideo mode. One of the main pain points for people is editing 360 video. People are fine recording video, but they can really struggle with the editing side of things. So Insta360 has come up with a great feature. What this does is capture two videos at once. First, it's capturing the usual 360 video, ready for future flexibility where you can edit it how you want. But recognizing that editing can feel complicated, time-consuming, and overwhelming for people, here's what it captures at the same time. A perfectly framed traditional MP4 flat video with you as the star. Press record once and get two videos automatically produced. You don't need to do anything else, thanks to the triple AI chips in the X5, which make this possible. You actually get two choices here for that Instaframe flat MP4 video that's produced automatically at the same time as your 360 video file. That selfie view that automatically identifies and tracks the nearest subject throughout the video, and fixed view following the same perspective throughout the video where you can choose forward, back, top and bottom views, ideal for something like motorbiking or mountain biking. Now let's talk about PureVideo. Whereas the X4 and previous versions have struggled in low light, this changes with the X5. Because your 360 camera should be able to capture amazing detail in any lighting condition. That's real life. You want it with you all day and all night. So now that's what you get. Amazing ability, not just in the daytime, but with PureVideo mode that you might be familiar with in the Ace Pro and Ace Pro 2. Now you get this in the X5 with great low light shooting. Now just a quick note back to single lens mode. You have the option to record in 4K at 60 frames per second whilst in this single lens mode. If your video is 360, the reframe resolution is at 2.7K. A really nice 2.7K, but if you really want 4K, then single lens mode is how you get it. But really, now with PureVideo mode, there's hardly any reason to choose between a single lens mode shot and a 360 shot. Only the most dedicated pixel peeper is going to see any significant differences. And note that PureVideo is not available in single lens mode. So those are the two modes that you need to be aware of to both reduce your workload and sense of overwhelm, meaning that you want to use your X5 more, and also your ability to capture great video no matter whether you're capturing in bright daylight or low light. That's Instaframe and PureVideo mode. And yeah, apart from Instaframe mode, I would stick to 360 mode for daytime video mode and PureVideo mode for nighttime and low light too. And take care to choose the right option according to the light. Regular 360 video will give the best results during the day and decent lighting. Choose PureVideo mode only for when the lighting is low. It does matter. So when should you use the standard video mode versus the active HDR mode? It's tough for small cameras to handle really bright and dark parts in the same shot. The bright areas in the picture can get washed out and you can't make out any details. The active HDR mode is made for situations like these. It's meant to save the details in the really bright areas of the image. I'd only recommend this mode if you're in that exact situation and really want the best outcome, because this mode has its downsides too. You can't just set it to active HDR and leave it at that. You need to pick your moments. For example, it's no good for low light shots. The image will be much noisier compared to normal video mode. The active HDR mode also doesn't have as many options for capturing as the regular video mode, with 5.7K resolution as its limit, and it supports up to 60 frames per second and lower. Okay, now we've covered some of the major changes that you need to pay attention to with the X5. Let's get into my recommended shooting settings. The resolution and the frame rate are what you need to focus on. Resolution and frame rate go hand in hand because the frame rate choices depend on your resolution. The camera usually shoots in 8K at 30 frames per second. You can get the highest resolution on the X5 with 8K. You should only lower the resolution if you want to shoot slow motion, or if you're okay with reframed 1080p and want to save some SD card space. In 8K, you have the option to select 30, 25, or 24 frames per second. Remember this rule. If you want to use your clip for a bigger project, like using multiple clips for a video, then ideally shoot all your clips in the same frame rate as your video project. So if you're planning on making a video at 30 frames per second, shoot all your clips at the same rate. If you want to create your project at 25 frames per second, then you should shoot all your clips at 25 frames per second, and so on. If you have more frames per second, your video will look smoother. So 30 frames per second will look more smooth than 24 or 25 frames per second. Now, since pro movies use 24 frames per second, it kind of gives off this cinematic vibe. 25 frames per second is their PAL frame rate, meant to prevent flickering under artificial light in most countries outside the US and Canada. Now, people usually use their 360 cameras like the X5 for action shots or epic nature experiences. The focus here really isn't in getting a cinematic result. What you really want is to create a totally immersive look. So in my opinion, 30 frames per second works better. I'd only go with different settings than the standard 8K 30 in a few cases, and that's slow motion. If you're putting together a bigger video project with 25 or 24 frames per second and you want to use your 360 clips, and maybe in low light when the lighting is poor. But now that the X5 can shoot in 8K 30, 25 and 24 frames per second in pure video mode for low light, just follow the same principles I've outlined for regular video and you should get good results. Next, let's have a chat about slow motion. In 5.7K, you can shoot up to 60 frames per second. You can record slow motion videos at what is 50% speed in 1080p with good image quality. Even in 4K, you can go up to 120 frames per second now for an even bigger slow motion effect, and it still will look outstanding on social media. But just so you know, slow motion videos can look cool, but they won't have the same image quality as full 8K, and that's even if at first glance there doesn't seem to be much of a difference between 8K and 4K. Image quality is more than just about resolution. So only use 60 frames or 120 frames per second if you're pretty confident you'll get a cool slow motion shot and the lighting is good enough. Now, the advanced settings menu pops up when you swipe left. You can let the X5 do its thing automatically or take full control and set the exposure and other settings yourself. Choose manual if you want to control the exposure. In auto mode, the camera will keep adjusting to get the best exposure, but you have some control over things even when it's on auto. Let's start on the left. You can choose the color profile, standard, flat, or vivid. The main thing that sets standard and vivid apart is the higher saturation in vivid. Standard leads to a more natural look. If you're into the whole strong saturation thing and just want to share your clips right away without messing around with editing the colors, then Vivid is the way to go. If you're planning on grading the color of your shots yourself, then you should definitely consider shooting in iLog with the X5. iLog allows you to record in 5.7K up to 60 frames per second. Now, I'm not big into log color profiles on small cameras. I'm all about the auto settings, but there are times when it can really benefit you for better post-production, but that's a different video entirely, so I'm not covering it here. I tend to just set it on standard and I'm done. Now, the white balance is here too. The white balance determines whether your image has a warm or cool tone, but white should always stay white, not yellow or blue. You do need some practice to set the white balance manually. The camera's auto white balance usually works fine, so I just keep it on auto, but manual settings are especially handy for longer shots in consistent lighting. The manual setting stops the camera from messing up your shot by changing the white balance for no good reason. Let's say you're out on a sunny day, aim for a white balance of 5500 Kelvin. With EV or exposure value, you can set whether the camera should expose the shot a little brighter or a little darker. But my experience with the X5 is a little different to the X4. For most people, I would recommend leaving this on auto, or else you run the risk of images that are too light or too dark. But also light strobing or streaking, or maybe some unnatural jitter, twitching or glitching creeping into your videos. And for this reason, I'll say that for most people, set it on auto and forget it. Okay, let's run through some other base settings you need to be thinking about and checking and setting on your X5 now that we've got a lot of the modes and principles covered. If shooting in daytime and it's bright enough outdoors, shoot in 8K 30 frames per second in regular video mode. Yes, the X5 has an HDR mode, but use this sparingly. For most scenarios, regular video mode with HDR mode off is going to be just fine. But where you have a high dynamic range in an outdoor scene, that's big extremes between light and dark in your image, or where you have significant backlighting behind your subject, or if you're shooting indoors where the light is generally okay, then consider 5.7K 30 frames per second active HDR mode for better results than standard video mode. But for nighttime and darker indoor scenes, then select PureVideo mode, shooting at 8K 30 frames per second for the best images. Let's talk about two other settings. To get there, open the main menu and tap on the settings icon. The video bitrate setting is important to us. It should be set to high. This is the only way to get the best image quality. But if you're serious about saving storage space for some reason, go with standard. I wouldn't recommend it, but it could help you if you're in a tight spot. Right below, you'll see the video sharpness setting. Your X5 makes the image already pretty sharp. The camera can add sharpness by increasing the contrast at the edges. This is what we call digital sharpness, but I think this makes the image look somewhat artificial. It's not a good look and it's hard to fix afterwards. So if you're gonna edit your shots, I would suggest using low sharpness. If the image is looking a little bit soft, you could add some sharpness in your editing software, but I've not found that problem. If you're not into editing your shots, just dial down your sharpness to low or possibly medium. Just try it and see what you get. Check out my full first impressions video of the X5 right here, and I have plenty of other Insta360 and travel tech content on my channel. See you over the jump.